Man, this is lifestyles of the poor and unfucking fortunate. But I tell you what, but bitch, we got views.
Building with Squints 615, man. We're sitting here talking about shit that nobody really fucking gives a shit about, but we're just gonna ask it anyway. So Squints, man, tell me why the fuck we're here and why people really want to talk to you or know shit about you, because I don't find it interesting at all.
Shut up.
Oh, my bad.
ChadArmesTV, we are back for part 3 of the Squints 615 interview series, baby. Like I said, part 2, man, we talked about... Stop it, Squints.
What? It's fun, Chad.
It's not for me, it's not.
Because you can't take it.
I just can't. It throws me off.
Okay.
No, you're good. So, we talked about, the Rutledge performances, your first album, how we linked up, you joined Show Improved,
Yeah.
our travels. We talked about all that stuff. So we ended off part 2 with basically 09. ChadArmesTV had started. And you can go back on the ChadArmesTV channel in the archives. One of the first ever day in the life videos
It's me.
is Squints.
Yeah, that's right.
We had some of Jelly, but we took them down years ago that I wish we would have kept. But Jelly wanted us to take them down at the time. And anyways, Squints is one of the first ones, even with that, that are on there. And it's just us, me pulling up on him. And us just going, it was the day you did your photo shoot for your mixtape that we're going to talk about in this part.
Oh, okay.
That has changed.
Yeah, okay.
So that's kind of where that is. If you want to start talking about, I guess, ChadArmesTV.
Yeah, like Chad said, ChadArmesTV, man, I think the day in the life of Squints literally now is like the 3rd video on the channel, back when.
My 2 horrible blogs are the first 2.
And I think I recorded one of those, if I remember.
Oh, God, it's not every day one because
Right,
go ahead.
right.
It was at your house, yeah.
Yeah.
You recorded my Shit Again music video.
Oh.
It's so terrible. And Kimura runs by and she's like itty bitty, bro.
There's a bunch of clips of Kimura real itty bitty now. Now Kimura's 15 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, the day in the life, hell, it's so old, bro. There's footage of us walking around Hickory Hollow Mall inside of that.
Yeah, and that's been closed for a decade.
Forever.
Yeah.
But that takes you back. But yeah, the mixtape that day we did shoot photos for the album cover of Things Change, which was my, minus the 600-700 copies of the very first mixtape. That's all physical copies that were ever produced. That's why I don't have one. That's why nobody has one. But that's when we shot the album art for the, I guess you could say, only one that really ever made it out because it's on Dat Piff and shit, or made it to Dat Piff. So there's digital copies of that. But yeah,
Which one?
Things Change.
No, it's on all streaming platforms now, man.
Oh yeah, that's right.
it.
Chad revamped that and put it back out with
we
like
got
a
it
few
up on
records in between, because after Things Changed, I mean, I recorded a handful of records, but mostly with Chad and Show Improved, like little just scattered records. So Chad put together like a I guess new edition type.
Yeah, like a deluxe. Like
a deluxe,
it was a 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, but that motherfucker's full of content. Hell, it's got like 2 hours of music on it. It's fucking,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
awesome. But I love it. I love how it's available everywhere now. But yeah, unlike the first.
Yeah, but you want to just talk about because that process, it took a while because we were so busy with doing so many and this was your first, like I said, you did the Time for a Change album.
Yeah.
But this was your first. You got to understand, so this is when mixtapes were everything.
Yeah.
2009, 2010, that was towards the end of the mixtape stuff. Well, I guess you had till about 2013 or so. But the mixtape shit, that's when the Gangster Grills, I mean,
yeah, that was crucial.
that was everything. So that's what the focus was mainly.
Yeah, and like I said, the grind was kind of pinpointed around that. So if you didn't have if you didn't have a product to push, it really wasn't. You wasn't a hustler. Like you wasn't a rapper if you didn't have a CD in your hands. It's easy to say, hey man, I'll be rapping too. Where's your CD at? Let me see a CD. And then presentation meant so much too, man. Like that shit meant a lot to me, opposed from my first little project, if that's really what we want to call that thing. Like I don't even remember how many songs were on it. Like it was
37 tracks.
No. I'm talking about the Time for a Change opposed to Things Change. Like Things Change to me meant so much more because it just had to be right. The first time I just wanted to be a rapper so bad, and I just wanted to hear myself and see myself on a CD.
Right.
It was like, all right, let's put this motherfucker together. Whoop 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 whoop. Let's get this features, get this beat. Just going nuts with it. And then with Show Improve, it was kind of like I got the idol back from a solo artist because we had so many artists. It really wasn't a demand for it. Like I didn't have to do that. I've always told Chad I was always a feature artist. I really wasn't never supposed to be a solo artist.
I think I was pushing that you to drop that more than you would. I wanted you
Yeah.
to put it out for you.
Agreed.
More than you did.
Like, I never really, like, doubted if I could rap or not. Like, it really wasn't, like, a question to me. Like, I was an aspiring artist for way before then. But I just never had the skill level to really, like, pull it off myself. Like, you give me a feature to jump on, a record with a concept to it, or a title, or
Which you did a lot of them back in the day.
and I'd crush them.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
all, like some of my best material I ever put together were featured records because the concept, the idea, all of it, and 9 times out of 10, the artist's verse was already there. So it's like the bar was set. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I know what we're talking about. I know how you're coming on the record.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's sort of laid out like that. It's like, all right, let's go. Let me try. And I knock the verse out. But if you're like, all right, man, here's 6 beats, Squints, write me 6 hits. You know, the way you want to write 6 songs. I go home and I'd go crazy. I go nuts with that shit. I'd sit on records so long, Chad be like, bro, I'm going to use that beat if you don't use that beat, bro. Like, that's just how, like, it would work. Like, I just never had the work ethic as far as being a solo artist.
Yeah, and I think that was just me wanting you to have that shine and wanting you to have that under you, just to say that you had done it.
Yeah.
Like, that I wanted so much for you to do that, and you were totally cool with doing like you said. But I'm still glad that you ended up doing it.
And shout out to you for that motivation and that drive, because without it, man, I mean, what little flowers I did receive along the way, like, you were behind most of it, you know what I'm saying?
Well, one thing that you did that was really dope in 2000, was it 2000? It was 2009. Was you won the Grind to Shine.
Yeah.
The radio contest. Do you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, 101 The Beat, Grind the Shine contest. So they did that, I want to say they did it 2 years. And it was like a submission type, you just submit your record, and then I don't know how it worked on the consumer side. I don't know if you like went on there and like voted, or if they played records and callers like called in. Do you know how that worked?
I don't remember how it works, bro. I remember
it was a
website
like
you went to, the 101 website to submit the song.
Yeah, I remember that, and like it was like, all right, thanks for your submission type shit.
Yeah, I don't think that it was
But
a
then
vote. I think they picked them.
Yeah, but they picked like a list. It was like a list of people, like 10.
And then maybe you voted from that.
Yeah, it was like 10, and then they narrowed it down to 4, and the 4 were like the finalists, and then they picked a winner from the 4. But yeah, ultimately they picked my record, man. It was pretty cool. And that, like I said, that record came about because Chad introduced me to a phenomenal producer named Zach Crowell that writes hits for people like Sam Hunt and Keith Urban and shit. But he literally pitched me a record, wanted to work with me on a record, and was like, Squints, we should do a record. Check this out. And gave me a record with a hook on it. It's like, come back when you're ready to record. I went back a week later and knocked out this song called Poppin' Rubber Bands, and it won the 101 Grind to Shine. Yeah. I remember I sent it to the radio station like 3 days after we recorded it.
Yeah. And so that's what's crazy, like full circle, like when these are coming out, we've already posted the podcast episode with Jelly, and Jelly talks about in that podcast that he is currently working with Zach again.
Yeah.
And Jelly used to work with Zach back in the day, and that's only greatness will come from that. But shout out to Zach Crowell, man. But yeah, the Grind to Shine, and again, we'll put the link to that in the description. There's a video on ChadArmesTV it's chronicling that whole day for Squints.
Yeah.
Grind to Shine, and like,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is. There's a Grind to Shine.
And there's Jelly's in there, Worms in there.
Jelly's the cameraman that day because Chad's the hype man. So Jelly's the cameraman, because they did give us an opportunity to perform. Shout out 101, man. That was a great experience. Like, that was a fun day. Like, even from the gutter, doing all the fucking bottom boy shit that we've done our whole careers through this rap shit, music shit, and content creating, and this long grind of fucking almost 20 years. Like, that was one day that I remember just being awesome, with no like real prize or anything afterwards, but it was just a good fucking day. The whole crew was there, everybody was there. We got to perform. They had like a little stage set up where they had me perform 4 or 5 records. You know?
Yeah, it was dope, man. It was such a good day. I was so happy for Squints and so proud that we was able
it was a good look
to represent there, man, because that was dope to see. And like we talked about, man, in that video, you see Jelly roll with us, and he's just part of the squad,
He's
bro.
part of the squad. I mean,
he was there.
Like I was saying, Jelly was recording that day because ChadArmesTV was on stage with me. Me and Chad were inseparable on stage. Like, anytime I was performing, like, I probably wouldn't perform if Chad wasn't there. And it was almost vice versa. Like, it's just he was my hype man, I was his, and that's just the way we performed.
Yeah.
But that day, with Chad being on stage with me, Jelly recorded all the footage of us performing that day.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think. But Worm was there, and Blaze, and Brandon E, and Bobby Hooks. I mean, our whole squad is there that day in that video.
Yeah, James M was there.
James M, it was a good. And we interviewed on the air. We did an on-air interview with me, and they had me on there, but Chad was able to come in there with me and get content for ChadArmesTV, which was dope because they wouldn't let nobody in there with us.
Yeah.
And luckily, they let Chad come solely because he just wanted to record it. You know what I mean? But Dola White and Scooby at the time was still with us then. So shout out to Dola White and R.I.P. Scooby, because looking back now, like even being on the radio, we knew it was a good look, but to look back now and Scoob not be with us, like it makes that day even more special to me because Scoob was a real one, dude. You know, and and even that day, like he talks about that day, I remember him telling us that we had some shit. You know what I'm saying? He's like, man, you guys are fired, man. You know, keep up the grind, man. We saw it, man. We checked it out, blah, blah, blah. Glad y'all won, blah, blah. But he was like so supportive and shit, and it just sucks that later on, you know, we lost him or whatnot. And it's nice to have that footage and shit still on ChadArmesTV for us to reflect on, look back on. It was good vibes then.
For sure. To end up this part, so that's 2009. When did you and Lex meet? Do you remember that?
Dude, I think we've talked about it on the podcast, man. I can't really pinpoint it. Like, I remember meeting Lex the very first time. Like, you mean like got acquainted?
Yeah. Like, was it just you doing some artwork for him or something? Like some
Nah, dude. Nah, I don't think so.
It would have had to have been 09 because that's when
it was when he came home.
That's when ChadArmesTV started. That's when I met him.
Yeah,
and
but
Bob.
see,
It had to be.
I met him the first time way back when. At the Gibson Showcase shit,
okay.
Right? And that was the first time I ever met him. And then I think, right up to about him going in, like there was maybe a few interactions over MySpace or something. Like I don't know how back far it really goes, man. But I know as soon as he came home, we were hooked up solid, and everything's just been. That's my guy, man. Shout out Lex TopDollar.
For sure, man.
But yeah, I wish I could answer that accurately. It's really hard for me to think back. Maybe it's the drugs. I don't know. But like I can't tell you when and where I exactly met Chad Arms. I couldn't tell Jelly how and when I exactly met Jelly. It feels like I've known these guys just my whole life, like childhood shit, and that's not the scenario. Like I unfortunately didn't meet most of my camp until after high school, like through the music and shit. But
yeah. But then after you dropped the Things Change mixtape, we were still doing. You were my right-hand man on stage every time out.
Yeah.
But you were still recording solo songs here and there.
Yeah, just a few.
Put out singles.
A few little records.
You had to Let Me Be the One.
Yeah, Be the One. Shout out David Ray.
With David Ray. And then actually we found that out recently that beat is the first beat that D-Ray and Wee Wee collaborated.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And they are a huge production team.
Yeah, they are hand in hand.
For Jelly and for a lot of artists.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So,
right? And we didn't even know that until recently.
When we were doing one of our random studio sessions with D-Ray.
Yeah, we were just over there hanging out, and we pulled me to the side. I was like, man, you know what, man? You want to know what's funny about all this? Is that the one song. I was like, for real? Like, I think I turned everybody's attention over to us. So I was like, man, you know what this boy just told me? But that's funny to think about that back when, because the one was just a throwaway record. It was just one.
Yeah, it was a hype when you performed it, though, bro.
Yeah.
And I only got when you performed it.
I think we only got to perform it maybe 4 or 5 times, and that was kind of like my intro to the way out type shit as an artist, I guess. I think there was a couple more after that.
That was 11, I think. Yeah, Tony Danza's the other one I was going to talk about. That's the one that you want to talk about how that one, like you said, Lex just pulled up on you one day.
Yeah, I was like I said, I never really focused on being a solo artist the whole time, even when I was like kind of a solo artist with Chad as Show and Prove or whatnot. But I never really pushed like that, but I always wanted a Lex beat, you know what I'm saying? And Lex was pulling up on me to pick up some inserts or something at the crib, and he was playing the beat just randomly. I've spoken on this on podcast, I think. And I literally said to him, man, I like that beat, man, let me have it. And he's like, man, I just made it, man. you get it, man. I was like, what? Like, I couldn't fucking believe it. And so that forced me into a new song, but instead of doing the solo route, I just grabbed a couple features. Lex had a verse for it already. And me, him, and Blaze put out the first version of it, and didn't really mix it down right or something. Lex didn't like the first way it turned out, so then we turned it back over to Lex, and ended up getting Jelly on it too, and just called it the remix. So me and Lex and and Jelly did the remix, and then that was kind of the way out. No, then the feature with Stack and Jelly.
That's what I was gonna get into last.
And that was it.
That was the. You want to talk about how that happened? Was that just
random as fuck? The first time. So you talk about bucket list shit. Being a white rapper from Rutherford County that moved to Nashville, 17 years old, idolized from just what I described. Haystack, Jelly Roll were fucking just superstars in my eyes, and have been. Luckily, I've known Jelly for a number of years, but I've never known Stack on a personal level or as an artist. He was always just like too hard to get to, I guess. I don't know what it was, but one night I linked up with Jelly over at Stoner's. And that was the first time. Shout out T Stoner, man. One of the most talented people I've probably ever met in person. Yeah. And that was the first time I'd ever met Stoner. Jelly called me to pull up. And I go to pull up over at Stoner's, and Stack's there, which I'd only met Stack a handful of times. And like I just described it,
yeah.
He's fucking one of the GOATs for me at that time of my life. And here I find myself in the studio with Jelly Roll, Haystack, and T Stoner. And they're working on a record called Bad Guy, and the hook was already there. Jelly had just recorded his verse, like as I pull up, and Stack was about to do his verse. And we were like just vibing out, just listen to the record like on repeat as Stack was like finishing writing and shit. And I remember Jelly making a comment like to spit something. We were just fucking around with bars or something. But I remember Jelly saying, shit, we're gonna fuck around with Squints on this motherfucker. Like based off something I said, like just jokingly, and it was like a light switch went off. I was like, I need to just write something right now. So I like took what I had just spun off of and wrote a quick 16. And the first opportunity I got to spit it out loud again, I spit it. And when Stack got done laying his verse down, all right, Squints, get in there. And I'm like, for real? All right. I just jumped all over that opportunity and knocked it out. Next thing I know, I was on their business as usual. It was a nationwide release. It was a good look. It was the best look I could have asked for on my way out the door.
For sure, man. And so that would have been, was that the last one thing you probably can remember recording? Probably.
I think so, man. I
think
that was really
after we
it.
did all the show and prove.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think that was it. Like there's the
was that 12?
Something. It was like that. Yeah, something 12, 13. My kids are in there causing an uproar. Yeah, 12, 13, something like that. I mean, but it had to have been one of my last ones on my way out for sure. And I did the one for Amy recently with D-Ray, but that's safe shit. Like nobody's heard that one, and that's a personal record. But yeah, that's it, man. That was it.
Yeah.
That's it for being an artist.
We'll get into part 4, be the final part, and we'll talk about the revamp of ChadArmesTV, and we'll talk about. I got some shit to say.
Let's do it.